Good morning, dear students. We are back again, and the story that we have taken up again, the story unfinished in the previous class, that is The Gardener by P. Lankesh. A very good story. In fact, a short story, but genre is quite different. Genre, genre. Genre means the type of literature, the kind of literature. Poetry is one genre. Novel is another genre. Like again, drama, short story. And the present story that we have, it's the narration of the dream. P. Lankesh, he confesses it at the end of the story. But at the beginning he says that I conceived this story in a flash. That is, in a flash, and suddenly he happens to meet. He happens to meet the old man near Chandrayapatna. He was standing in the coconut grove, Grove, grove. This grove is the place, a piece of land where there are many trees, particularly fruit trees, orchard, or we can say tota in Kannada. Totagara, that is the translation of the title. Or the garden itself is the translation of the original story called Totagara. So P. Lankesh, in the beginning, he says that I met this old man accidentally. Suddenly I came across this fellow, and the story took birth in my mind. But as the story ends, you will see that as the postscript means when you finish writing, script is writing, when you finish writing everything, when it comes to the proper close, suddenly you remember something that I have not said something. So you add it at the bottom. Previously, when people used to write letters, when they finished writing the letter, suddenly they remember a certain point and they used to write it at the end. P.S. P. S. Both capital letters. Postscript. Post means later, after. So as the postscript, perhaps he mentions it at the bottom of the page there, at the end of the story, that I have conceived all this in a dream and narrated as it is. So this is a narration of a dream. And the dream-like things also you find in the story. What's there in it? That is, a dream is apparently at least disconnected. And anything can happen in the dream, anytime. The past things become present, present go into the past. We are at one place, suddenly we are at another place again. So anything is possible in the dreams. So that kind of disconnection you will find. Certain kind of apparent superficial meaninglessness. Though dreams are said to have some deep meanings and connotations and suggestions, but dreams at the superficial level, if we see, they are disconnected, disjointed. So that feature also we can see in this. This story is about mainly the owner of the garden, plantation. This old man comes from hundreds of miles. He walks hundreds of miles and comes to the garden. A tall fellow, grey hair, beak-like nose. This is the description of his personality. Strong muscular arms. A man of good build, healthy build. Strong muscular arms he has got. He is a tall fellow, grey hair, a beak-like nose. And under his arm, he had tucked the newspaper, and in one of his hands he had the spade to tend the coconut trees, to look after the coconut trees. He comes to the garden. He has come from a very long distance. He talks to the owner of the garden, and that was the perfect meet. Because the gardener needed, the owner of the garden, for convenience sake, let us call the owner of the garden as the owner of the garden, and this old man as the gardener. So the owner of the garden meets this old man. He needed exactly the man of this type. This type means the old man is described as a fellow who is well versed in the agricultural work. Well versed in the sense perfect. He knows everything about agriculture. This is his first qualification. What is the second qualification? That he knows the problems of the workers. That is how to deal with the people. Knowing your work, that is your skill that makes you fit for certain work. But minding the people, training the people, that's a different faculty altogether. Supervision, we can say. Administration, we can say. So that's a different faculty, that's a different job. So he knew how to handle the people also. And thirdly, he was very vigilant. Vigilant means he was very much, you can say, he kept vigil. Vigil means what we can say. He was very much careful about what happened there. Before he came, there was a kind of theft. Whenever there is garden, orchard, I said, where there are fruit trees. And when you find the fruit trees, even if it is planted in the neighborhood of your house or just before your house in the yard, people will come and stone it and they would like to get a fruit from the tree. So people will come to steal the fruits, flowers, kari patta, kari bevu. So that small pilfering, stealing was there when he wasn't there, because he is now very vigilant, a careful fellow who is keeping a strict watch on the farm, the garden. So that also ended. So these things, which are these things? First, that he was well versed in his agricultural work. Secondly, he knew how to handle the people. He knew the problems of the workers. Problems means they are of different kind. Maybe their personal problems, or maybe the problems related to the work. Because some people, some workers, they are very clever. They know how to hoodwink, that is deceive the owner. काम चुराना बहुत अच्छी तरह से उनको आता है. Shying away from work, being negligent, and posing that they are very serious, very hardworking. Different kinds of problems can be there. We have to get the work done from the people who are under you, who are your laborers, workers. But at the same time, you should not be only extracting the work. There are two techniques. One is make the people work by strictness. If you are not strict, nobody would mind your commands. Nobody would take orders from you. And another way is looking after their comfort. If a person is not happy in his family, or your work itself disturbs that fellow, your work itself disturbs that fellow in his life, then he won't be concentrating on the work here. Nowadays, the multinational companies are taking care of what we can say, their families also. They send their workers on the tour, vacations, so that they come refreshed. They give 2 days off in a week. Does it mean that the workers are their family members? That's the rhetoric. They keep on saying dramatically that this is our family. And in the present times, the family itself is not family. There is a lot of discord. What are you talking about the workplaces? These are the goody things. Let it be. But at least what they do, they keep their workers happy. Like, if we want our bike or the car, the vehicle to give mileage, what we do, we take care of it. Cleaning, washing, time to time servicing, careful driving. In the same way, we have to take care of the workers. So workers' problems. Why the workers do not work, and how will they work, and how will they work better? Such many things he knew. And third point, first, he was a good agriculturist. Second, he was a good supervisor now. And the third, he kept a very strict vigil. So in this way, he proved very beneficial to that fellow. The owner of the garden needed exactly a fellow like this. And this old man needed a place like this. Mutual needs made for each other at least. So, in this way, what was the result? Now, how is this old man described? This old man is described as a conglomeration, a mix, a mixture, a combination of what? Of three things. He was the philosopher. I'm reading the reverse way. He was the philosopher, he was the overseer, and he was the laborer. The order given in the book is he was a laborer. That is, he knew his work. He knew how to work in the farm himself. He was oversee, supervise. That is, he knew the problems of the workers. And that he was a philosopher that we have to witness when he starts telling the story to the old woman, to the woman, who is none other than the wife of the owner of this garden. All rolled into one. The old man was all rolled into one. What are those all things? All rolled into one. He was a laborer. He was a laborer. Laborer. Then overseer. And third, this is most important for us, philosopher. A laborer, overseer, and philosopher. 1, 2, 3, all rolled into one. This was the old man. He was a mix, he was a combination, he was a conglomeration, amalgamation. These are synonyms. You should know, you are expected to know such words. Not that I want to showcase my knowledge and my grip over the language. Simply, I'm giving you an idea that a meaning can be expressed in ways more than one, in more ways than one. So he was a laborer, overseer, and philosopher, all rolled into one. The phrase, nice phrase used here, all rolled into one. All rolled into one. All rolled into one. So such a perfect man he has got as the assistant. And what was the result? The result was that the income of the garden, because it is quite natural when you get a very good assistant, you flourish. Same thing happened here. The income of the garden grew dramatically. Initially, the land was only 10 acres, but it grew multifold. Now, money increased. With the money, prestige increased. Money comes and everything comes. Money increased. Byproduct, prestige increased. And the side effect, negative side effect. When money comes, along with money, like allopathic medicine, it relieves you of some pain, some problem, some malady. Malady is disease. M-A-L-A-D-Y. It leaves behind some disastrous effect. That is called side effect. The side effect of money. If you take a painkiller, the pain will be relieved, but your acidity will grow. So doctors prescribe, along with the painkiller, an antacid. That is the curse of the allopathy. Ayurveda is not like that. Let it be. So what is the side effect of money? That you start losing your character. You get out of your character. Charitrahinata. Money comes means power comes. And where there is power, they say power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. So when you get powerful, there is every chance that you will become corrupt. You will become corrupt. What kind of corruption crept in here? What kind of corruption that was setting in? That started. Number of voices he started cultivating. In the first place, he became very popular. He earned good friends in his own village and outside the village also. Because if you have money, people will come. If you have Bella, then flies will also come. But this Bella makes your fingers jiggy jiggy. What to do? So money has a curse. What is that curse here? He cultivated many other umpteen is the word given here. UMPTEEN. Umpteen. Umpteen means many. Umpteen vices. We talked about it in the last class. Vice. Bad qualities. Drinking is a voice. Gambling is another voice. His life became crowded with colorful events, they say. Rangila, in the last class I told you. Rangila is the word used for a fellow who is immoral, who loves drinking, who loves womanizing, who loves gambling. One who is wallowing in these things very luxuriously, that fellow is called as a vicious fellow. And the chief of that, I said womanizing, another word is used, that is adultery. Adultery, vyabhichara, that also started. Because when you have money, you have got the power, and women will be after you, or you will be after women. So his wife, the first person to be worried was his wife. She could not decide whether this old man came in their life and whether his arrival was for the good or for the bad. Was it for the best or for the worst? The visible side was that they flourished. Money came, prestige came, everything was there. Another side was that they mentioned in the last line, 10 acres land, beyond their imagination it grew. That was fine. But their life was slowly, gradually getting out of hand. Husband and wife getting estrangement, separated. Now this fellow did not have any important work to do. So he became a fellow indulging in vices. And the very first person to be affected by this is the wife. She got worried, scared. And once it so happened that this old man happened to meet her in the garden. They looked at each other and he showed that he knew what she was suffering from, what was being high on her mind, what her problem was. She knew all these things. He showed that how she was worried, how much she was worried. That he already knew. This old man welcomed her. He offered her a tender coconut. He sat on the embankment of the well. She had no other option but to sit by his side. It was the evening time, sunset time. The sun rays were falling, slanting into the well, and they were reaching this place through the foliage of the trees. Which trees were there? Coconut trees, mango trees, jackfruit trees. And the old man began his narrative. The old man started telling the story. What is that story? He starts telling that in a far off place, stories are like this. In a far off place, once there was a man called Tamanna. We have seen a little bit of this in the last class, but as there is a lot of gap between the previous class and this one, we have to recapitulate all those things. Tamanna, mind this spelling: Tamma. See, M is double, N is double. Another thing, Tamma and Anna. You should not commit any spelling mistake when you write the answers in the examination. So that is the key to the knowing the spelling by heart, and that too very correctly. When she was in a fix like this, one day the old man met her and behaved as though he knew all about her plight. Through this class, I would like to appeal to all the students who are watching, who will watch, that you must read this story very slowly, very carefully, because the language that is employed here, used here, is very beautiful. You will get to learn many good words, new words, useful words, and very beautiful expressions here. Fix is the word they have used. When she was in a fix like this, fix is confusion, dilemma. What to do? Shall I do this or shall I do that? Kind of confusion. She was in a confusion. One day the old man met her and behaved as though he knew all about her plight. Plight is condition, situation. He smiled at her and brought down an offering of tender coconuts from a nearby tree. He sat on the embankment of the well. She had no alternative and she sat next to him. We have seen all this. The sun was slipping away into the western horizon. Sunset time. His rays were reaching the walls of the well through the foliage of coconut, mango, and jackfruit trees. The old man began his narrative. Narrative is the story. What is the story? In a far-off place, once there was a man called Tamanna. And this Tamanna was a very rich fellow. You name it and he had it. He had everything. 10 acres of wetland, a comfortable house, and people too ready to do his bidding. In one of Shakespeare's plays, it's written that the servants were ready to have a look at their boss, that is the king, as people eagerly look forward to the sunrise. When he got up, he came out of the bedchamber, people would storm. Such a kind of eagerness among the people to serve. Now, this eagerness may not be right from the bottom of their heart. What prompts is their needs. So people, that is, he had everything. 10 acres of wetland, a comfortable house, people to execute his commands very quickly. But all these things were not important for him. The most important among all his possessions, whatever you possess, was his rival Sangoji. Sangoji is another name. This is the other character which enters here, Tamanna and Sangoji. Who was Sangoji? He was his rival. Who is a rival? A competitor. We have seen this rivalry in the first poem, Romeo and Juliet, the two families. Remember the names of the families? Capulets and Montagues. Capulets and Montagues. Montagues was the family of Romeo. Capulets, Juliet. So Sangoji was his rival. After telling this much, the old man could not continue and he started finding the words, fumbling for the words, looking for the words. He felt that he had committed some mistake, and the woman was listening. She did not have any other alternative. He was telling and she was listening. Many times this happens. The man goes on narrating the things. Human beings have got the tendency. We should be aware of the audience. If the audience really wants it. There are many great speeches. The only fellow who is interested and who is eager and enthusiastic is the speaker. Nowadays, we don't find the listeners. So we have to look at the audience, make them listen. If nobody is listening, there is no point in narrating the things. The woman was helpless, she was there, and she had this kind of feeling. All this is none of my concern. All this is none of my concern. अरे मेरे काम का ही नहीं है कुछ. But she could not say it outright on his face, to his face. We cannot. What forbids us? What stops us? Modesty, namrate. We cannot say anything like this to the face of a fellow. You are very boring. On the other hand, what we say? I got some work. I'll see you later. Isn't it? This is the thing. And she felt that perhaps if she did not listen to him, the old man would feel hurt, and she continued listening to him. And he said, no, his name was not Sambhuji. What he says? His name was not Sambhuji. What was his? His name was Basavaiya. B-A-S-A. Last time I told you how to take this spelling by heart. B-A-S-A-B-A-I-A and finally H. If you read like this, you will not commit the spelling mistake. B-A-S-A-B-A-I-A-H, Basavaiya. T-A-M-M-A-N-N-A, Tamanna. No, he was not ready to assign any particular name. Here you can see that he was hiding something. He was hiding the identities. He was masquerading. He was concealing. He was hiding what the real thing behind the fictitious things. He was converting the fact into a story. He was converting the fact into fiction. Fiction is story. And he was surprised when we turn the reality into imagination, when we convert fact into fiction, life into a story, the things change. Names change, things change, the sequence changes. He expressed his amazement, surprise at how facts take on such varied guises. Guise means clothes. How facts do change. They are disguised as, when they are disguised as fiction. When the facts are converted to fiction, how the things change. You are surprised. And now the story within the story starts. Now this story is about these two characters, Tamanna and Basavaiya, who were each other's rivals. What was the rivalry between them? It was about the land, first of all. These were two rivals. Initially, they were good people. Good in the sense, the competition between them was good. It wasn't that bad. It looked like healthy competition. So if this fellow purchased 4 acres of land, this fellow would again go for the 4 acres of land. So like this, again, if he went for 8 acres, he would go for 9 or 10 or 8. Like this, there was a competition. Whatever you do, I will also do. That is a kind of competition, rivalry, accepting the challenge, vengeance, revenge. We talked about all these things. Man lives for certain kind of revenge, certain kind of challenge. This is a common man's life. A common man cannot live unless there is any challenge. Right from your childhood, you have a challenge. On your TikTok, on your, what is that, snack video, or Moj, will find that one particular song, ye karke dikhao. Some kind of magical things are presented. So every time your life, your society, your parents, वो बोलते हैं आपको ये करके दिखाओ. तो यही हमारी जिंदगी है, कोई ना कोई सामने आता है और कहता है कि ये करके दिखाओ. The child, when he takes birth, we appreciate the child, we prompt the child to do certain things, to creep, to crawl, to get up, to start toddling, walking, all these things. The child is again made to speak. When the child starts speaking, we make the child speak better, fast, good, then go to school, learn better, best, adjust to the society, live how many challenges? Get good marks, get a good job, earn money, not just money, lot of money, get married, satisfy his family, beget children, see that they are well placed. Again, the cycle continues till his death. That is, it is pointed out in the story that man throughout his life lives for one or the other challenge. All the time he is accepting the challenge. He is competing as if he is running. Life is a race. We will learn a poem here afterwards. To the fruit from its child, that man has to run, keep on walking. It's a marathon, walking or marathon race, running. We have to run. We are all the time on the run. We never rest. In that poem, it is said that the man does not, he forgets to even have sleep without finding time for sleeping, for rest, for lovemaking. Every time he's obsessed with these things. So these challenges are there. He misses the life somewhere. The story is symbolical. In this symbolic story, we are told that Tamanna and Basavaya, if he went for 4 acres of land, if he purchased 4 acres of land adjacent to the field, Basavaya would go for 4. If he again purchased 2, he would also make his land 6. Like this, they started purchasing the land, and finally, in the village, there was no land left for purchasing. It happens. It does happen. There was no land left. The entire land either belonged to Tamanna or Basavaya. In the later part of the story, there is reference to, allusion to the Cold War between America and Russia. America and Russia, United States of America and United States of Soviet USSR, Soviet Russia. So these were the two superpowers, and always there was a fierce competition between them. If one of these powers went for certain kind of technology, another would certainly do it. If one had the very intelligent spine, another would go for it. If one detonated one bomb, arms and ammunition and weapons, another would immediately do it. So this kind of competition was there. And people feared that a day will come, definitely, there would be war between these two superpowers and world would be pushed into the Third World War. Fortunately or unfortunately, Russia disintegrated. And Russia is the pale shadow of what it was in those days. Let us not go into the politics, but if you have time, read about Cold War. It has got a very interesting history. There was a tough competition between these two powers. One was communist, another was capitalist. Soviet Union. So that kind of competition. And whenever a new country was liberated, it had to join either this America or Russia. Every new country which was liberated, which came into existence on the surface of this earth, had to be either on this side or that side. In this way, America tried to cover maximum part of the man-inhabited world, man's world, wherever man is living. Russia also tried to get the countries on its side. Like this. The land was purchased either by Tamanna or by Basavaya. There was no land left in the village to be purchased. Entire land belonged to either Tamanna or Basavaya. How much was this land? Now Tamanna got 1,000 acres of land, and Basavaya got 800 acres. Now, imbalance. This balance was not correct. This was a tilting balance. It was tilting in the favor of Basavaya, Tammanna. Now, naturally, if Basavaya got angry, he felt that he did not have this extra 200 which he has. He has got only 800. Then he was consumed with anger. He was very angry and challenged Tamanna, and he asked him, "Come on, you sell me your extra 200 acres because I have got only 800. Why don't you sell me your 200 acres?" Do you think Tamanna sold his 200 acres? He would not have been Tamanna if he had sold. So he said, "What are you talking about the extra 200? Sell me your 800 acres. Give me your 800 acres. With those 800 acres, what will I do? I will be the Lord." So that wasn't possible. He was unable to get it, this fellow. So about the land, there was a competition. About the friends also, there was a competition. Friends and fans. If one fellow had 10 friends, another would acquire 15 admirers. So this healthy competition, which looked healthy in the beginning, that deteriorated into fierce rivalry, a kind of enmity, bitterness entered here. Now, what to do? How to get back this land? The only thought in the mind of Basavaya was to get the land. What was the means? Now, when straightway he jumped to the easy, quick solution. What is that easy, quick solution? Go and grab it. What does underworld do? The proper means of getting hold of or earning or achieving something is working hard. Working hard, and one day the things will come to you. You should have a lot of patience. But patience is what we awfully lack. We want to have it at the earliest. This is the world of instant coffee. Instantly we need everything. We don't want to boil coffee. We want it instantly. And that's what Tamanna Basavaya did. He sent his men. They invaded. They got that 200 acres and built the fence. Tamanna was now very angry. What to do? He wanted his land back. People suggested to Tamanna that, come on, you can do one thing. What is that? You can get back your 200 acres. What are the means? The one means was to go to the court of law. Move the court of law. File a case. Go to the court. You can get back your land. Anyway, it is your land. You can get it. Second, go to the police. File a case into the police station. Police will come and they will solve the problem. And the third was attacking. Tell us, attacked by people. We are already told that people were ready to do, too ready to do his bidding. They were ready to. आपके इशारे पर हम जान भी दे सकते हैं. Such fools are there, or selfish fellows are there. They said that we will go and take back that land. Come on. These are the three means suggested to Tamanna. You can get your land back, grab your land back by these three means. But Tamanna was not just an ordinary fellow. He is far better, superior to Basavaya in everything. He has got talent, he has got mind, he has got patience. But still, he is as ordinary as Basavaya so far as the competition is concerned. He doesn't want to be out of this competition. This Tamanna, now he was in search. He was hunting for a method to totally destroy Basavaya, to totally annihilate. Annihilate means destroy. Total annihilation. Tamanna wished for the total annihilation of Basavaya. Basavaya does this. He takes my 200 acres. This is called now propaganda style. What I am coming to, what I am arriving at. He took my 200 acres. I'll see what to do. He was in search of a method that would totally destroy. In Urdu, there is one beautiful word, नामो निशान मिटा देना. नाम और निशान. नाम भी नहीं, निशान भी नहीं. People will forget, annihilate. जमीन दोस्त करना. जमीन का दोस्त, पूरा जमीन के बराबर कर देना. धूल चखाना. Biting the dust, they say. Defeating completely. He was a perfect rival. A competitor, intelligent fellow. And he was in search for that method. And what was that? That's the best and the superior thing. जब तलवार न काम करे तो कलम निकालो. Kalam, pen. Pen is mightier than, yes, you guessed it right. Pen is mightier than sword. Pen is mightier than sword. And thus he started composing ballads. What are ballads? Janapada Gitegalu. He started composing ballads, and in those ballads, what he did, he started writing about the cruelty and meanness of Basavaya. Basavaya is very mean. Basavaya is very cruel. He is not a good fellow, this and that. All negative things he included into that ballad and started singing. His voice was good. He was an artist. And overnight he became very, 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 very famous. People thronged to listen to his songs. Many of them started translating his songs. Many of them started commenting on his songs. Being with a winner makes you a winner. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a good poet, is a good poet, and will be a good poet. I'm speaking about his poetry. But only when he became the Prime Minister, Padmaja Phenani, a singer, she sang his poems. Then Jagdish Singh, the ghazal singer, who sang only ghazals, Urdu ghazals, and I appreciate that he makes the Urdu words come to life. They come alive before our eyes. He has got that rare skill. He sang the poems of Vajpayee ji, which were written in chaste Hindi, very pure Hindi. Why this happens? Because he became the Prime Minister. If you are singing the poems of Prime Minister, you will become famous. Are they Prime Minister's poems? Let me listen. They are sung by whom? Jagdish Singh, Padmaja Phenani. Then Padmaja Phenani will become famous. Already they were the very well-known fellows. But when you attach your name with another most famous fellow, then you become more famous. So people started translating, commenting upon the ballads of Tamanna. And he was felicitated as the best poet. What was the condition of Basavaya Ag Bahuda? He was beside himself with anger. He started working very hard and hard and hard. That is, harder he started working. Diligently is the word used. Diligent means hard work. He started working very hard. But that was not the answer to Tamanna's singing. Because singing is one thing. By singing he became very famous. But working hard in the field, different. He could not harm Tamanna. Then what next he did? What did he do? Then he started encroaching upon the land of Basavaya. But that also did not affect Tamanna, because land and all was not the concern of Basavaya now. The chief reason for the life, the chief purpose for his life was poetry, ballad, singing. He was doing that. And Tamanna was helpless. He could be only angry and do nothing. He tried to give a tough competition here to Tamanna. how he did it and what he did it, we shall cover in tomorrow's class. Thank you. Thank you for listening.